Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Precious S. Carter. If you want to know more about me, go ahead and just watch the previous video that I put up. It gave you a lot of information about who I am and what I do. But right now, I want you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I want you to turn on the notification bell, okay? That would be super, super awesome if you could do that for me. Also, if you want to know more about me, hit my website up. It's preciousscarter.com. Happy Valentine's Day. Today, I want to talk about like love and communication and how pride gets in the way. I'm not going to be too long. I have a date with my husband, so I have to go get dressed, put a few curls in my hair and stuff like that. So I'm going to be off of here soon. But I was sitting here thinking today, my husband and I have been married for, this is 2020, 23 years, been together for close to 25 years. And I was thinking about all the things that we have gone through in our marriage. We got married super young. We started dating super young. Neither one of us came from the most stable or healthy environments, and so we dealt with a lot of trauma. Well, one thing that I learned about both of us is we were very prideful. And I've heard it said that pride is the furthest distance between two people that are in love. And you know, when I first heard that statement, I didn't know that it was so true, and it really is so true. See, the thing about pride is it masks itself in many, many different forms, from like being proud and boastful to being arrogant to being rejected to being insecure. Most of us, when we think about pride, aside from like a proud parent, but when we think about it in a negative aspect, we think about a person who's proud, who's boastful, who is kind of unreasonable in their thoughts, and they're kind of impliable. The definition of the word is the quality or state of being proud, a reasonable or justifiable self-respect, disdainful behavior, or to enjoy oneself. In Hebrew, pride is arrogant exaltation, swelling, pompous, presumptiveness, arrogance, grandeur, haughtiness, loftiness, and insolence. So you see, very, very rarely do we hear it, unless we're thinking about proud parent, proud son, do we hear about it in a positive connotation. The thing about pride is many people who deal with the spirit of pride or the mindset of pride, they are very inward focused. And so this means either way, it means that I care about how I am seen by others. And this is usually in a more intense way other than like self-care, you know, needing to make sure that you are decent and in order. But this is like very self-focused, and the decisions that you make and the things that you do are based off of how you'll be perceived. It's very, very closely tied to rejection. I think that rejection, or I think pride is a stronghold in rejection, actually. So the problem with pride is it causes people to think about themselves intensely and extensively. And so we begin to do things that make people look at us a certain type of way. And it's very difficult to communicate with a person who is prideful, because a prideful person is usually a dishonest person. The reason that they're dishonest is not necessarily that, you know, they set out to be dishonest. It's just that they're so concerned about their appearance, or, you know, what people will think about them, that it's the most important thing. And so they often are very defensive communicators, meaning, so for example, today I was having a conversation with someone, and they were sharing with me that they're an atheist. And the way they shared it, he was like, well, I don't think that I should have to defend myself about my belief. He hadn't even said what it was. And I said, well, I don't think you should have to defend yourself about your belief either. Why did you say that? Like, why is that the thing that you led this conversation with? And, you know, he did it. I can tell you that he did it because his assumption was that I would think negatively of him, and he wanted to defend his right. In all actuality, I could care less what your beliefs are. Like, I'm not here to try to persuade anybody to love Jesus. I'm just here to tell the truth, the good news. It's not my job to make you love God. But prideful people always assume that you will think the worst about them. And so in order for you not to, they automatically put themselves in a position or a posture of defense or offense, right? So when you're relating that to love, you really can never get to know a person who's prideful because they're actually kind of afraid to show themselves. Most of the people who deal with pride, they're dealing with not necessarily only rejection or abandonment, but they're also dealing with the fear of rejection or abandonment. I mean, what made me kind of start talking about this is somehow my husband and I made it through this, right? Because we both were very prideful. I didn't realize that I dealt with pride. As a matter of fact, I actually thought that you couldn't like have low self-esteem and be dealing with pride at the same time. So, I got educated on deliverance and how, mindsets and demons work. And, God took me through that process of deliverance. But the one thing that I want to say to you, that you can overcome this pattern, right? This pattern of being defensive, of not having healthy communication, of, feeling like you have to put on airs and false pretenses that only lead you to feeling unfulfilled. There is a way to defeat this, right? And the number one tip that I want to give you today is to make a choice to be honest in every form of communication that you have. And that means sometimes that you have to have that conversation that's uncomfortable. So I guess what I'm saying is you have to become comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. That's one thing. Number two, you can't really expect people to understand what it is that you think or how it is that you feel if you've never even told them. Like, it's oxymoronic. Like, you can't expect someone to know that they've hurt you or know that you love them or something like that, and you've never actually articulated it, but you expect them to know based off of your actions. Because the truth of it is, the actions that you do, they don't always tell what it is that you mean, because a lot of times people who deal with pride aren't dealing in truth. And so most people who can discern or they feel energy, they kind of can see what you're doing, receive what you're doing, but they kind of feel that it's off. And so they're, sometimes people don't know how to communicate that, and they're dealing with pride themselves. So they don't want to hear you say like, you're lying, you don't know what you're talking about. And so it just ends up in this like antagonistic relationship. And it's a barrier to love, and it's a barrier to communication. And I've learned that until you learn to love yourself and be yourself and accept yourself, you actually are holding back from people the goodness that is you, right? So as a result of this like negative, dishonest communication, you really put up more barriers to your happiness, to your partner's happiness, to your children's happiness, and your family's happiness. So my tip for today is just make a decision to be honest about how you feel. Learn to communicate with sobriety, meaning business mind, right? Like, so if you have some issues or if you want to express something positive, go into it with a clear mind so that if something goes awry, don't be thrown off by it and then go into defense mode, okay? So happy Valentine's Day. I hope this little video helped you in some way. I wrote an ebook on pride, and I actually have never released it. I was sitting here thinking about pride because I had a coaching session with a couple today, and that's what kind of drove me to do this video today, because I don't know what I was going to talk about. I had something planned, but I don't have that notebook in front of me. But I think it's important, like, today is Valentine's Day, typically a day that's a celebration of love. I don't know what you all are doing. I don't know if you're in a relationship. I don't know if you are married or not, but self-love is very important as well. And once you can learn to be honest with yourself about who you are, flaws and all, it'll make you a better communicator, and ultimately it'll make you a better lover. So that's all I have. Make a decision to be honest today. Continue to be grateful and have that attitude of gratitude as we talked about yesterday. I'll see you tomorrow. Drop me some comments. Let me know that you like this video. Let me know some other topics that you want me to talk about. Subscribe. hit the notification bell, and get my ebook out of the comments. It's really good. Alrighty. It's not going to be in the comments. It's going to be in the description. Alrighty. I love you. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Bye.